Hi.
Hello. Hi.
So, what's up?
So I was just, is it okay if I record this?
Okay, now there's some work going on here. People are trying to get feel like we're just settling up. Okay, so we still have time. People will join. You can see
Okay.
what's happening here. So yeah, this is our space, Desi house. So you can have a look.
It's a beautiful space. What is that wall? Did you make that?
Sorry.
Did you make this wall?
Yeah, we made this, handmade this. Like we use our hands to make this. Okay, just a
It's
second.
beautiful.
I'll be back shortly. Okay. Yeah, so you can keep
Okay.
interacting with the virtual environment.
Yes, please.
Hello.
That's same. I just wanted to share this beautiful space. So I'm meeting Sehai here. He's in India. This is Zain and Jordan. Oh, she left.
Who are you showing, Andrew?
Hi.
No problem.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, it's. I just want to share with you this moment. I'm setting up a workshop in India. So right now, we are meeting with one of the change makers, one of the people who applied for the Climate Action Summit. And he's arranging a workshop. It's such a beautiful space. So I just show you the space. It's very nice. People are coming. They paint the backgrounds. Put the camera. Ah, yeah. Can you see it?
Lower.
Huh? Lower? Lower? Yeah.
I can't see the screen. Yeah.
Ah, can you see it?
Yeah, now I can see.
Bluetooth is gone.
Really nice. Yeah. Yeah, they made it. Painted on the. I think they pressed the. Painted on the wall.
Good. Awesome. So this is for the workshop.
So this yeah, this is. Let me just take a.
Am I audible, Anzo?
Yes, I hear you.
Oh, great. Wonderful. So the audio is set up properly now, and the video, as you can already see, we are done. Yes. So yeah, we are waiting for participants to join today. We have a couple of people. You can see, can you start interacting with them? So we are trying to create a virtual medium, guys. Okay, where we are trying to connect you. I'm sorry to interrupt you. So you can see this video going on live right away. She is Annesofie from UN Live team, working from Copenhagen, and you can see how active she is, and find out what solution we have got today. And so this session is going to be totally live on, and we whatever we talk here, we'll make sure that people are there, are listening, and and she is there with us all through the session. So yeah, and in between maybe there will be some interruptions in the session, but please be patient. So we'll work it out, and we'll try to find some great solutions to this. That's the point. That we'll start within 5 minutes. Last 5 minutes for people to join, and we'll start. No more waiting for doing this kind of session. Adesso fai per coprire quelli da chiedo, no? Allora, ya me expulsan de. Here for the session, my workspace. Actually, right now the space is closed. You might want to come and check out after 7 p.m. Okay, thank you. Just take pictures. Take one phone. The other phone you know. 8870. What? Okay, guys, yeah. So good evening. Okay, now no more time. We are not gonna wait for any more people. If they come, we'll try to welcome them since we have more seats. But there's no time to wait, I guess, right? So we're gonna start now. And I quickly, so before we move on, since we have very few people here with us, let's have some introduction. Let's know each other. Maybe in very short, like Insta mode. Let's introduce ourselves. Maybe we can start from you.
I'm Amrita. I'm from Andhra Pradesh, and I'm working in development now for other solutions. I'm here. I've been here since a year. First time I'm still there. I student at Annesofie College. My first time.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Sudha. I'm a fashion designer. I'm studying in I'm involved with extra Chennai, things in Ravi Chennai. Yeah, pretty much.
My name is Vignesh, and I'm studying a little bit of renewable energy and solar systems engineering at the College. And I've been working towards I graduated in Martech, actually with freelance.
Great. So I am Sahaj, and so I am basically a youth activist and entrepreneur trying to engage people in a lot of different ways on matters which are really important to us. And I would one of the projects that we are working on right now is also about environment with young people and trying to find out the mindset of the young people given the whole process. What exactly, where are we, what's the next 10-year plan, and things like that. So I basically work on those things from my own capacity and also to my startup and also involved with other organizations. And thanks for coming, guys. Let's have a round of applause for all of us. Yeah, yeah, this is very good. It's very important that you come here and it is needed for the greater good and for something that might not have any economic impact. So hats off to you guys. Now I'll quickly start, the session. So the first thing that I wanted you guys to know is about UN Life. So I'm not sure if anyone knows about UN Life. Yeah. No. Okay. So UN Life is basically an organization, a budding organization, which is a kind of a local agency of United Nations, and it is trying to, if how they call it is, they say it's museum for the United Nations. So I will quickly, could you quickly introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm sorry I'm late. My name is Swati. I am a freelancer at a marketing startup, and I just started a page that talks about climate change and reduce a lot of aspects people don't really know about.
Great, very nice to have you here. And yeah, so we are basically introducing UN Live here to all these people here. And now, so basically what they call it Museum for United Nations. So United Nations until like for past 70 years has been working. Like you might be seeing Security Council, something is happening. Some like leaders are going and meeting. Like fairly older leaders, they are going and meeting there. They are doing some kind of discussion there. They are doing some kind of long table conferences here, there. And then that is the the perception of a normal human being in this planet. And when you go and see their check out their cars, like they have something, different number plates, which in any country you will not find any of those kind of cars. So it gives a very different perception of like what is this United Nations all about? Like how is it controlling the whole population? How is it regulating the whole population? And how it is engaging the whole population. So a lot of people have different opinions about United Nations. So through this in UN Live, they are trying to create a larger network of people who can say that they are part of United Nations in some ways, whether it's small or big, or in their own capacity or organization, trying to enable a bigger network through their efforts. And basically, what they are trying to do right now is to capitalize these efforts. Like whatever as you said, you are working with Extension Pavilion, the local chapter, you are working on that, trying to engage people to the cause. Your inputs are very important at every decision, making table. So that's why since you are here and we are very fortunate to have you guys here, that was really serious about that, creating this network, larger network of people, which is not just confined to Chennai, not just India, but maybe you will be interacting with people from Pakistan, which you might never do in normal cases. So that's it all, and its dream is to dramatically increase the number of young people who can participate in these movements, in these action oriented activities, not just coming up with an idea, but not taking action on that. So it really leads to a lot of issues later. So quickly, I just take you through. So this My Mark My City is the initiative why we are here. So this MyMarkMyCity is basically an initiative. It's a global in nature initiative, but it's asking people to do, to take some small action, to imagine certain solutions and work on those solutions and act on those solutions and making sure that let's say today we are we started working on a solution. Now, how would that solution create an impact in next 10 years? So it's a long-term project. This MyMarkMyCity is a 10-year long project. It just started. It started just a week ago, and it is all it asks is like the people to be a part of this larger network and contribute to it to a global online community. Maybe locally we will be interacting offline, but when we talk about global network, we might not be able to go and meet people, but we are always connected. Right now, also this session is already on live, and Annesofie from UN Live is already seeing this whole meetup that we are doing, and she is actively engaging. She will engage with us in next few minutes. So that's all about My Mark My City. Why My Mark My City? Like why do you see the city? Can anyone answer? Can anyone think about it?
So why it is necessary to talk about like the place we live in is because we see those problems. We see it on a day-to-day basis, and we know it. We have felt it. It's like real time. And why it's tricky? I think it's because that's where something starts. Where people from like so many towns, villages, other countries are in Chennai. So it will have a greater impact if we start with Chennai.
Okay, great. Yeah. So yes, you're very much right, but it's also about like people come here to cities for livelihood, for so many different purposes to hang out. As simple as that. When we hang out, we take our cars, we go out, we don't know how much emission we've done. So it's basically a hub for all these activities, commercial activities. When the AC is switched on here, so some an activist sitting here, a climate change activist sitting here might not like that idea. But what we are trying to say is there are bigger solutions that we need to work on. Maybe through policy intervention, maybe through talking to decision makers in our local community, How many of you know the MLA of your constituency? Just one quick question. How many of you know the MLA? Okay, wow, yeah, we should give you a prize. So see, that's a a very big issue again. But we're not trying to focus on that issue right now. What we are trying to say is that we can, on our own capacity, without any institutional funding, can do a lot. It's not that we have to wait for some institutional funding that will come and help us realize our goal of engaging people and finding a solution to the crisis that we are facing as a generation. So it's also about this thing, like climate change and city. So as I told you, like the electricity, the cooling, heating, the fuels that we burn, the gases and everything contribute to this climate change, and we are responsible for that. We to some extent are very much responsible to that, and we have to take some action right away, before we start asking questions, and before we go on to the streets and find out start questioning the leadership and larger leadership, and trying to create some social unrest. So we are not trying to talk about that. We are just trying to talk about that. There is something happening, and we need to take some action. We need to visualize. We need to brainstorm, and that's what it is all about, this campaign. And now I'll take you to I'll show you the social media guide that will guide us in reimagining our solutions right today, right away. We'll be posting our solutions today. Whatever we have will be, but there's a guiding procedure to that. There's a social media guide that we will be following today, and hopefully everyone will cooperate here. So we will be using certain tags such as MyMarkMyCity and MyMarkMyChennai. So please ensure that when you are posting something online, make sure that you are using these two tags so that your solution comes to the forefront at the global community level. And today, there are more than 20 curators all over the world who are looking at solutions coming from Chennai. So there's a huge chance that if at all, let's say you have your friends who are working on a prototype, who are working on solutions, whether fashion, sustainable fashion, whether anything, do post your solutions today. Don't wait for any good moment to come. Post your solution with two hashtags: my mark, my city, my mark, my channel. So that your solution can be easily tagged to this location. So further down the time, your solutions will start getting posted on this UN Live Museum website by September 20th, and which is of course already happened. So you'll see cities like Anchorage in Alaska, Karachi in Pakistan, and Nairobi. Many other countries and nations and cities are, and they are doing something for this online campaign, and they are doing something in their own capacity, and we should also do something, right? Since we are here, we should do something today so that our solutions from Chennai come to the forefront of the whole world. And not just that, we also have to follow another procedure. We have to ensure that there is a blue dot emoji here, where we are putting our mark. We as citizens are putting our mark that yes, this is our solution and this is our Namma Chennai solution. So we will try to we can very easily find out this blue dot emoji in your what online mediums, and please use this whenever you're posting any solution from now on. And we want you to use a very nice caption, like a lovely caption that can very nicely describe the solution. So try to work on go as creative as you can to portray your solution through caption, through the pictures that you take, through the videos that you create. Try to be as creative as possible, because that is the need of our people are not going to look at your solution if it doesn't sound great to them. So try to be as creative, and just to let you know, like the few ideas that you might have is like just to let you know, you can just read it. I can just zoom it and you can probably read it. So, like you can tell us about your plan, and so we'll be working on that. In next few minutes, we'll be working on that. Then the theme, who you'll be working with to make it happen. Make sure you tag your partners and collaborators. Your plan, vision, and project do for your city now, and what you can do in next 10 years, right? So, if today you adopt that solution, you start working on that. Now you don't know what's going to happen in the next 10 years. are we also thinking that after 10 years, what will be the solution to the whole, where will my solution take my city? Where will, how is the larger impact that I can create to my solution? So we also need to see that very carefully. A kind of a period of 10 years should always be in our mindset when we are posting these solutions, not just 1 year, 2 years, or 10 years. And you need to visualize that, like how will your solution impact. So visualization is something, we're not telling you to meditate here, but we are telling you to, visualize something, which you think and put it on the paper or chart paper. We give you a lot of materials today, so we don't need to worry about that. And that's pretty much about my mark, my city, and my mark, my Chennai. So that's pretty much about that. And we'll quickly try to get in touch with Annesofie, so that she can further clarify your doubts. We'll have a kind of question and answer round, but very quick because she's leaving the office now in some time. And yeah, so before that, we move on. We have a survey. You guys like surveys, right? How long can you dedicate your time for a survey? How much duration are you comfortable with? More than 10 minutes. More than 10 minutes. Okay, sorry, Danny, we are not going to give 10 minutes. Just 1 or 2 minutes survey. Is that what we wish you to fill? And so that because this is a research initiative as well, it's an experimental initiative. So there's a lot of data that we are trying to bring out and trying to portray, not just keeping it with us. So this data, what you share with the survey, is directly going to Copenhagen, and researchers from all over the world will start looking at what you fill in the survey, what is your understanding about the climate change, and what is the solution that you have. And there are a lot of things involved in that survey. So quickly, I'll tell Kiruba, he is our community executive here at Urban Desi House, and he'll quickly come and help you out in the survey procedure. So please cooperate with for just 2 minutes. It's a very small 5 questions, I guess, are there. It's a pre-workshop survey which we are going to do here right away. Everyone having shared. So just log in your account and go to the page of the game. No, that you click the link in the chat. Go to the event page. Events. Yep. Yeah. Go to discussion. Just click contact. Just finish first. So, second.
One more thing. It's the second question.
Okay, okay.
Third question. First question was on streams to my in Pakistan.
I hope it's comfortable. You guys are comfortable filling the form. Easy, right? Very easy. Okay, so Annesofie, so we have people here, as you can see, we So guys, here we have Annesofie from Copenhagen, Denmark, and I hope you can hear that.
Hello.
Yeah. So very good evening, Annesofie. So we just now what we did was we a few orientation about some orientation about the UN Life and My City campaign. And now we will move on. We are doing a survey. I think we are done with the survey, right? So yeah, we are done with the survey, pre-workshop survey. So yeah, now what we can do is you can quickly introduce yourself to us, Anna Sophia. Like I don't want to tell her over there. I still can't understand the profile. So please introduce us to the yourself to us.
So my name is Annesofie Norn. I'm one of the curators at UN Life. I think Sahai has been giving a very good introduction to what UN Life is, and also MyMarkMyCity. I would be happy to also give another introduction. Is that necessary, or what particular would you like to talk about?
So and Sophia, like you can tell us like how these actually we have people who are really serious about the climate change, and as we also discussed about like the 2015 floods here, the flash floods and the things that are the water crisis that we faced this year in Chennai. So everyone is, I think, pretty much aware about the issue that we are facing collectively here in Chennai. And and few of the people who I have interacted earlier have already come up with their own ideas of doing something about that. So we are very fortunate that we are doing something. We are taking some concrete steps regarding that, and we even shut down our regular business today to engage people, bring people on this round table, and interact and find out what they really think about this climate change. If what is how they can fit their solutions in. So we gave them the initial, I gave them a particular initial introduction about this campaign and the next 10-year plan, that we are trying to understand how we can work together, create a larger network of people. So I think you guys are pretty much comfortable about that, aren't you? Yeah, so yeah, they are very much comfortable about that. Why we called you here, and so is basically to to tell us something which is already not there, uh, which they don't know, and what are the the action what they take today. Why should they take that action, and what will that action lead to in next 10 years, and how they can, let's say, if some like everyone is not a researcher here, everyone is not into like finding out the big prototype, the sensors and the IoT and the other the geothermal energy. Maybe they don't know how to create those mechanisms. They don't know. They're not the scientists. They're not the researchers. So, but we have people, the local chapter of Extension Rebellion. Yes, your name please. Mridula is here. She is leading the local chapter of Extension Rebellion. So,
What is that? Can you repeat that? I
uh,
couldn't hear.
so what I'm saying is, Annesofie, that we have a really nice bunch of people here who are really interested, and we even have people like from Extension Rebellion, which is creating a lot of awareness globally, apart from other campaigns. So people are really interested, but when it comes to solutions, maybe they are not able to find the solution. So what they should do, like the first question is to get that idea into that action board. And my second question is, why should they do that? What will they achieve, in the whole process? What will be their learning? What will be their, how can they, develop their career alongside, not just, develop going to streets, but we are also trying to find out the solution, right? So it can only happen when we engage and all those things. So you can just clarify things to people here, they're listening.
Okay, so let me just, I would like to just take a step back and tell you a bit also more about what UN Life is and what it wants to achieve. So UN Life is a museum that, it's a global museum which aim and goal it is to drive and galvanize billions of people to take actions on issues around climate change, but also other issues related to the sustainable development goals. With this specific project, which is the very first initiative of UN Life, we are working with sustainable cities. And the idea is really that in order to create change in the world and for us to be able to see this massive change that we want to see happening within the next 10 years, everyone has to participate, and change is something that has to happen on a very local scale. Also for communities to see the urgency of a change that should happen and to relate to the issue of climate change, it is necessary to take a very specific and local stance. Is it difficult to hear me?
I think we lost you.
Ah, yeah. Am I here again? Hello?
I think we lost you, Annesofie. Just a second. Sorry for the interruption.
No worries.
Okay. Yeah. Can you just say hi?
Hi.
Okay. Yeah, you are audible now. Wonderful. So yeah.
Good. Where did you lose me?
We lost you long ago. We don't know where we lost you.
Long time ago. Oh no.
It starts from the beginning now. No, just joking.
From the beginning.
Like 30 seconds of time.
And we talk about the awareness in the local scale.
Okay, awareness in the local scale is where we lost you.
The local, yeah. So we are working with young people around the whole globe to create this initiative or campaign and create actions around local issues. And these local issues should be something that you can relate to in your everyday life, something that is tangible for you, something that makes sense, and something that you can relate to. So that can be anything from how you're using transportation in the city, or how you are sorting your waste, or how you see different ways of seeing really how climate change is reflecting on your life, and thinking react on this. And so creating is a event guide that can be used. Do you hear me well?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So in this event guide, I don't know, have you been looking or sharing this event guide? Say hi with the people in the room.
We will share it with all the participants today, so they can
Okay.
this forward.
So one of the things we have been creating is an event guide that suggests different steps that takes you from imagination and visualization to think about really what are the concrete steps you can take to act on your solution and your vision. And I think what is important here, and when we work and go forward, is that we start with small step. We encourage people to do prototypes, to test out things, to create observations, and to work on this in small steps going forward. So in kind of seeing what your life is an overall platform, it's the work that we are doing with all these youth groups throughout the whole planet. Then there's more kind of deep work that we are doing.
We got more people. Our co-working community is also here now.
Great, welcome.
Yeah, they're saying hi. Yeah, you can be louder.
Hi.
Hi, welcome. Good to see you. In some specific countries, we are working with museums to see also how can we work together with institutions to get these solutions into public places to start larger scale conversations around this. And the opportunity with this project is really something that's very experimental. It's growing. We are still looking to see how can we pair projects. So for instance, with Say Hi, I've been thinking that the way that you guys are working together is extremely interesting. So we might want to continue working with you to see how we could connect you with a group of people in Colombia, another group of people in Alaska, let's say, there's another group that's working with sustainable fashion, if that is the subject that you would be working on, and other groups around the world are working on that specific subject. So what we want to be doing is also to make these connections and see specific subjects that people want to work with in very specific locations, but also see how these subjects are pairing up throughout different locations. So that's an opportunity to also work with people on very specific subjects, but in very different locations and in very different cultures.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thanks for informing us, about the whole campaign. And very soon we'll be moving on to, engage the people into the whole, stepwise process of finding out the solutions, whatever we have. So means, as we know that, we are trying to have an agile approach and we are trying to have a kind of a Kaizen approach to it. Like whatever solution we get today, we'll try to post it. So how would that idea be, Annesofie? Like, should we go ahead with posting the solution online as well today?
So we have a social media site with the hashtag MyMarkMyCity, and also we've been talking about that you create a hashtag for MyMarkMyChennai, so that you will be able to see all the work that's happening in Chennai in isolation. The social media posts are really also something that the museum will use as a way to, of course, repost and highlight good projects, but it's also being drawn into the global website of the museum, and potentially projects are also things that can become part of the exhibitions, the physical exhibitions, when we have a museum in a few years' time.
Great, great. Tell us about the weather back in Copenhagen now. Just to
the weather, you can watch out of the window. It's
Wow.
raining a lot.
Raining there.
It's raining all day. It was raining all day.
Oh, wonderful! Like Finland having a great time there. It was quite hot day here in Chennai. Yeah.
You can give me some of your heat, and then you can have some of my rain.
Okay, so we'll move on. Okay, so we'll open the floor. Okay, so I will move out now. I would request you guys, like, since it's something that is quite self-explanatory. What we discussed until now, and you guys are quite aware about the climate change issues. And so, if you still have any questions, you can post to Annesofie right away. You can talk to her. You can come here and sit and talk to her for maybe another 10 minutes, maybe. Because after that, I think you are planning to go to your home, right? So yeah. So the thing is, you can start interacting. You might have a lot of questions, right? Don't you have questions? So please start asking your questions to Anna. So she'll be answering all the questions. But be quick. That's all. You can come here if you want. You can come here and talk. You can show your face to her, right? Why not?
Yeah, maybe send me around on the table, because it's.
Yeah. I think you need to come here.
If
you want to ask question, I think you can come here.
Hear what people says.
Okay. So yeah,
you can
we have the
extension
rebellion lead here who wants to ask you a question.
Hi. So I'm Mridula. I'm a part of XR Chennai. I'm also a fashion designer. I'm starting my own brand very soon. So I have like questions for like two different things. One, as XR Chennai, we are asking the government to declare climate emergency, and we are also trying to address the local issues regarding climate. But we are sort of kind of like lost because we just started out recently. So some input that you can give regarding that, it would be very helpful.
So your question is how you can start to address issues around climate change.
Yeah.
So I think the key here is really to find a way for you that gives you an easy access to the subject. So climate change is a very abstract subject that's very difficult to relate to. It might not even be something that you can really feel and sense in your everyday life. Like we can talk about the weather, but we don't really feel climate change as such, right? Because things are happening on other time spans as the ones that we are sensing. But there are ways to talk about how we can create sustainable structures in our life. And one very interesting subject is sustainable fashion that many people are very interested in. So I haven't been working with fashion, so I don't really know all the details of this subject. But I think for you guys who knows much more about this than me, this is definitely one topic that you can use as an entry point to talk about how we can create more sustainable environments for ourselves. And I think going forward, so as I said, I would really like to continue working with you guys and also see who we can connect you to in other cities. So there's this, in Colombia, we are working in one city called Medellin where there's a big fashion industry. And we start to talk about this with this industry about how to create sustainable fashion and to envision new ways of fashion and how we can relate to this. Also in London, at the London Fashion School, there's a sustainable fashion department. So they might also be interested in coming into some discussion with you around this. So, but I think the key for you is really to start with something that is just quite tangible, quite simple, and something that you can start working on yourself as a first step to explore this further. So if you, after our talk, if you look at this event guide that Sehai has, then there are suggestions how to make like visualizations, to think about another future in 10 years. And then there are suggestions to work towards this future, lining up like 3 steps you can take in working and creating action plans around your ideas. And so I think after you have been looking at this event guide and thinking about how you can use this, then I would be happy to catch up with you again and clarify any questions.
Great, thank you, Annesofie. So
does that reply
and
to
we are doing a workshop. Are you still studying in the college?
Yeah, I am in my final year.
Okay, so very soon we are doing a workshop in your college. Yeah, you know Kaustav sir.
Yeah.
So I told him a day before yesterday about that, and I'm gonna come to your college and we'll be doing a workshop there. So you can involve also in that workshop.
Okay.
You can lead that workshop there in your college. How does that sound? So you can get more solution. We can get so many solutions, not just 1 or 2 solutions. We can get so many solutions which can be put up into action. In the coming years.
So what is, to your opinion, what is the challenge to work with sustainable fashion?
It's basically everything, but I think the first problem or the biggest problem for me is whether or not it's sustainably verified. Like people say it is organic cotton, but it actually is not. If there is organic cotton, there's no fair trade. So there is a lot of gaps that have to be filled, and the biggest problem is selling sustainability because they don't get how much work that goes into it and its value and its worth. The only thing they see is it's so expensive. So yeah.
Yeah, and I guess there's a contradiction in just sustainable fashion, because fashion in itself is something that's being, I mean, fast. Yeah, you wear it 4 times and then you don't use the t-shirt any longer because it's from last year. So there's this contradiction between creating things that are sustainable, but it's actually one of the big issues is the kind of the mind of people and the whole perception of how we are wearing the things we have. So yeah. I think that's very interesting to think about and talk about. And I don't know if that is in the production or in how fashion could be talking about our ways, the way we relate to what we are wearing in a different way, or where I guess there are many ways to approach this. Yeah, so very interesting. I'm excited to learn what you come up with.
Thank you.
Okay, guys. Yeah. So more questions. Now we have Swati.
Hello,
Want to
it's
ask
really nice to meet you.
Hello, nice to meet you.
So I have two questions for you. The first one would be, does online petitioning actually work? Should people still continue working on signing petitions? And if they do, are these petitions mostly, are they even handed over to the authorities and the executives who are supposed to carry out that change?
I wouldn't be able to reply to that question, I'm afraid. So my work is really, I'm a visual artist, and my work is really to work with groups of people to develop projects. That's what I'm usually doing, and creating exhibitions. I don't really have experience myself with petitions. I know many people use this as a campaign tool to influence politicians. And I guess it's also really very different from country to country. So just, I know from Denmark, if you have a certain amount of signatures in a petition, then the politicians are obliged to take this into consideration. Then they need to have a vote on this in the ministry. I don't know how that works in India, I'm afraid.
It's very hard.
In some places, I think it's a really good way to get the politicians to take your concern and having to kind of debate and take a decision on it.
Okay, certainly. Okay, my next question is, I just recently started a page online because I'm good with design, I'm good with information, and I read a lot about climate change. So I don't work on a solution as such, but I really like spreading important information to people. So how would you suggest moving forward with an initiative or a website or any sort of collective that brings together people to give out information? Is it still worthwhile to do it, or any other recommendation you may have for an initiative that just spreads information and helps people understand the issues? Is it even a good idea to continue, or should I kind of do something else?
Yes, I mean, raising awareness is sometimes the first step you need to take to activate people. So if people are passive, then what they might need sometimes is to get information in order to know that there is something they should engage with. So I think that's definitely a very valid thing to work on. Can you send me the link to your website?
It's called Better Planet Collective.
Better Planet Collective?
Yes. So I just started, I think, a week ago. It's still in its very primitive stages, but I plan on bringing together people who have better living practices, who are cutting out harmful practices like driving your car too much, or too much consumption. So just kind of helping people understand. Everybody's saying, how can I help? So I just kind of want a page that can actually tell people, here's how you can help, here's how you can change. So yeah. So is there anything else that I could possibly focus on beside awareness to kind of bring about a bigger level of change among people that I spread this information to?
I think it's really worthwhile to work with Say Hi on this project to find out to really explore also how you can move to action plans.
Yeah.
And I think that so we are sending you one suggestion, but you are in your location and you know what are the subjects that are most important for you, and you know how it is in Chennai. I don't know Chennai, right? So this is really just a tool for you to start working together and think about how can you take action on various issues. So it might be that one of you is working with fashion, another one is working with another subject related to climate change. But yeah, I suggested working with Say Hi and then really exploring these action steps can be very worthwhile.
Certainly. I think that answers it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So guys, more questions. Come on. Yes, please take a hot seat.
Thank you.
We have something called, someone show here in India. which is I just sorry to interrupt for a moment. Just to make something more interactive, we have one show which is called Kaun Banega Crorepati, like who's gonna be the millionaire. I think it also runs in many other countries. So there we have the hot seat. I think it's looking very much like that, the situation over here. So yeah, please you can start with asking a question.
So hi, it's really good to meet you. So I have one basic question. Recently, I have been coming across many posts and many stories that people are posting. So basically, I am trying to be a photographer. So last year, my vision was to create pictures that will bring back good vibes to people. But in an year, after coming across many things which disturbed me in many ways, my basic question is that when you come across a post, how do you how does it make people to get off the screen and put into action? Like how do you make them act upon something to stop it, to eradicate it? Like people just see the screen, they'll feel bad about it, or they'll comment aggressively, and that's where the action stops. It's not going off screen. Like how can we make an impact? How can we take a step or proceed further to get it off screen? Like make the change happen in reality rather than on screen. Like is there any method that we can do?
So I think what science is showing, one thing is that this whole visual content and the way of talking about climate change is something that's just in this very negative way. Is something that's putting people off. It's not making people take action. So what brings people to take actions is to see positive solutions and to be excited about the innovative things that we can do differently, that are exciting, engaging, and possible to take part of. So I think to, first of all, also when working as a photographer, it's quite interesting to think about what is the kind of visualities, what are the pictures that you are showing. Is that this depicting the kind of the only the negative issues, or is it also focusing on the positive solutions and the ways going forward? Also what science is showing is what really makes people take action is to see other people that they know take action. So sometimes it's not so much, I mean, research and science has been talking about climate change for the last 50 years at least, right? And this, sometimes it's not to get a lot of information, and sometimes not what makes people take action. Sometimes what is needed is to have an example of someone who is your neighbor, or who is in your family, or is a peer. So what I want to say is that the kind of a role of being a person yourself who takes action is just something that's very important, that we might not really recognize so much, because we think about these very overall large structural changes that has to happen. But to really change people's minds and enable other people to take action, the step of taking action yourself and being an example is something that's extremely effective, scientifically proven extremely effective.
Live examples. So people are saying live examples. That is what, like, so I have come across recently the Amazon fire that has happened. Like nobody has taken action until like few days has passed. So that is what is bit worries me. It's what that worries me, that people are just okay. That is not happening to me. So why should I bother about it?
Mm-hmm.
That is the change that I think we need to bring, or something. I don't know. Like.
Yeah, so there's the distance between yourself and people who are in other locations, or who are unlikely yourself, or things that are happening in another time. It's not happening today. It might happen in 100 years for the next generation. It doesn't really have something to do with me, or it happens on the other side of the globe. So I think this is such an important thing, and also relates to this thing of being a neighbor and being the one who take action, who is able to tell the story of change that is happening in your local society. And also to show people to urgency, so to raise awareness, to have a website that raises awareness about the impact of climate change in your own society that people might not be aware of, is something that's very important. Because we tend to these very extreme stories, right? It's the ice bear, or it's the Amazonas burning. It's these extreme stories, but there are so many gradients of what climate change is and what we can do that we might need to make people aware of the local implications of climate change for them to be able to act.
So I have a quick question. So I would like to focus my project on focusing on the brutality that is happening around us, the darkness that is like literally lurking around us. So should I focus on that darkness, or should I show something beautiful in my pictures, or should I show the literal brutality that is happening, and so which brings out fears and which eventually leads people to take some action out of fear rather than out of hope?
Yeah, so it's a very good question. So I think it's very important to talk about the difficult and bad things that are happening. But I'm just trying to take the head of the scientific research on. I would tend to also want to show these things and maybe not focus so much on the nice things, because as someone working with visual material, this is also sometimes the most interesting stuff to work with, to have this conflict in your material. But I think if your goal is to have people take action, not just be aware, there has to be this, you have to search for a link that looks towards a solution. You have to make this link for people to be able to, if you want effectively to inform people to take action, this is an important element in your work.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Any more questions, guys? So just to add to what you said, and like I think even now a lot of people are getting displaced due to a lot of climate disasters that we keep on facing. So there was a water crisis 1 month ago, 2 months ago. I used to see a lot of things happening in Chennai. People went crazy about the water crisis, and now it started raining, and people stopped talking about that, right? So we as change makers, young change makers, should also ensure, I think, to keep doing our stuff, what we are doing, where we start, and we should understand that there are already a lot of people who are getting displaced due to climate disasters. There are already a lot of people who are not able to live their lives in a nice manner in a living in a city. So a lot of people come to cities like Chennai, and face a lot of turbulence in their careers and in their livelihood, finding meaningful work, finding decent growth in their career, right? Facing the mental uh, health challenges. I think everything is very much correlated. And for every young change maker who we feel like, when we think that we are leading something, I think we should have that kind of mindset. Don't we should possess that mindset, I guess. That would be much more fruitful. Now, any more questions, guys? Any more questions? So we are like now she has to leave. She has like spent a lot of time in informing us, but we cannot just keep waiting for the questions. No more questions.
So if you have questions also after the workshop, then yeah, please send them to me or through Sehai. I would be happy to keep in contact.
Yes, we will send you a lot of questions.
Huh?
We'll send you a lot of questions. Don't worry, answer.
Lots of questions.
Yeah, a lot of questions are coming your way. So now I think thanks a lot, Annesofie. So thanks a lot for as you can see, there's a room full of people, young people here, and thanks for educating us about the different actions that we can take. and how we can convert our pessimism into positive actions, how we can translate that, how we can network. I think it is very important. Now we'll start with the the kind of a mini workshop kind of thing that we will do, so that people can learn and start doing it in their own communities and in their own
Great.
organizations
It
and their
was
schools and colleges and everything, right?
very exciting. So it was really a pleasure to meet you. It was very exciting to sit here in Copenhagen and learn about Chennai and your questions. So I'm looking forward to keep in touch and see what you come up with today.
Yes. We are all very excited. Can you do a shout out for Annesofie now? Yay! Thanks. Thank you so much. Have a nice evening
Thank
ahead.
you.
And bye from Chennai. And we
Bye.
will start Chennai now in a couple of minutes. Thanks for joining us and educating us. Have a nice evening. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.